welcome to this special edition of ET Now Startup Central, India's first and only daily show dedicated to startups, technology and entrepreneurship. I'm Chandra Shrikant, coming to you from Startup Capital Bengaluru, but more importantly coming to you from GMIC, the Global Mobile Internet Conference, an annual forum that brings together entrepreneurs, investors, executives in the mobile world, developers from different countries in Asia, and the focus really is on India and China. Now, it's been a marathon day with different kinds of sessions around commerce, around payments, around B2B, but we will bring you a snippet of all the conversations that mattered during the first day of GMIC. We kick it off then with the biggest voice as far as the Indian internet ecosystem is concerned. We are talking about Flipkart's co-founder and chairman Sachin Bansal. Now, demonetization is a theme that really dominated the narrative on the first day of GMIC, and it was no different for Sachin Bansal when he was asked about the demonetization drive, if he thought that the execution didn't go off well, and also how Flipkart will partner with the government going forward. Listen in to what Sachin Bansal had to say.
Firstly, we should appreciate that this is a really hard challenge. This is much harder than running logistics at Flipkart, and I think, and I do want to also say that the idea behind it is very good. The thought behind it is very good, and the intent is very good. And I'm hoping that this is not just one-off things, and we will see more of these things in the future. I would say that the biggest problem that I see now is that, because if you see the signs of or the actions of the government post the demonetization announcement, there have been some calls which were kind of arbitrary in nature, or seemed like they were knee-jerk reactions to situations that came out of blue. And actually most of those situations could have been anticipated or avoided in the first place, like printing enough cash, recalibration of machines and stuff like that. I would say, if I would have, in hindsight, again, I would have probably done more research on the ground and roped in experts earlier on, even at the idea stage, even way before the announcement was made. Have a expert panel which can guide the government and also work very, very closely through the execution. Very top secret projects in the world have been executed successfully with roping in of experts, and you can choose to trust a few people over there as well. And since it's a set of small people, everybody knows that if some leak happens, it will be very easy to triangulate who that person is. I think especially after the Diwali season, there was a lean period. There's always a lean period after the Diwali season in the month of November, and we could have used this time where we have extra staff available, not just in Flipkart, but actually a lot of retailers, small retailers have this extra staff in their stores, and those staff members can be quickly trained, given a technology solution like an app or something which they can use to go and maybe deliver cash to the people in their houses, like with the micro ATM idea. That if you step back a little bit and look at this thing at the macro level, this move, right, and you look at the other series of moves that have been happening in the past as well, the indication from the government is that we need to move on and use technology, embrace technology more and more. Yes, we may print some cash in the short term and then try and solve the problem in the short term, but that's not going to be the long-term solution. I think it's a wake-up call for all the banks who have been sitting with legacy systems and legacy processes. It's also a little bit of wake-up call for the people in this room and people like us who that we need to start pushing faster on the digital payment side of things. Yeah. And we have seen that. I mean, last few days have been tremendous for we have a payment solution in Flipkart that we have launched a few months ago based on UPI. Yeah. We've seen a huge spike in that usage of that. I think payments is going to be the largest bet from a technology point of view, and also digital payments is going to become an enabler for a whole set of other businesses. I'm sure a lot of people here are building those businesses or part of those businesses, whether it's selling apps, or it is mobile advertisements, or it is selling digital goods, or it is about any kind of transactions that has to be conducted on internet.
But Sachin Bansal wasn't the only person talking about demonetization. I also caught up with Paytm CFO Madhur Diora as well as InMobi co-founder Amit Gupta for their thoughts on how to really scale up to the next level as far as digital transactions are concerned, and if there is scope for multiple entrepreneurs to thrive in the payment space, or if this will be a winner takes all game. Let's listen into what they had to say.
In the first 10 days of this month, before the Prime Minister's announcement, we were up to about 10,000 a day.
10,000 transactions?
10,000 new merchants,
okay.
Offline merchants using Paytm. And after the announcement, that number has gone up to 20,000 a day.
Wow.
So we were fortunate in a way that over the last 6 months, we had already built the infrastructure to actually add these merchants. We had created the tech platform because this is a journey that we wanted to get on anyway. And so now obviously that has accelerated. I think this month we may add over 500,000 merchants, if not more.
Okay.
Offline merchants.
500,000, how does it compare to what you usually add per month? Is it a dramatic increase?
Yeah, so in October it was 150,000. But the more important comparison is that there are only 600,000 merchants in this country that accept credit card and debit cards. Only 600,000 merchants out of the 40 million SMEs in this country. So we will probably add at least as many, very close to that number, merchants just this month.
Right. And the other metric I want to get from you, Madhur, can you tell me how many people have actually downloaded the app, say in the last week after this happened, or has the usage per person gone up?
Yeah. So as I said, we are adding about 500,000 users, new users, a day.
Okay.
Right? So it is whatever, 4 million a week. But we already had an installed base of 155 million Paytm users who have created Paytm accounts in the last 3 years.
Amit, just playing the devil's advocate here, clearly he's very bullish about this whole scheme. But there's been a lot of criticism about this, that India is perhaps not ready. And I'm not just talking about the small towns or the smaller cities. Even if you look at the central business districts of metros, say Mumbai, Delhi, Kolkata, Bengaluru, the number of people really standing outside ATMs on every working day, standing outside banks, has it sort of really exposed the system that India is still primarily a cash economy, that we are a long way off before we go digital, or people are just getting a little too excited perhaps about digital?
So I agree with you that this whole announcement was very, very sudden, and the country was not ready. Millions of, actually, I'll
How
quote
did
the
you
numbers.
manage
So
it?
millions of. So I survived because I think we're lucky to be in Bangalore, where everyone accepts credit card.
Okay.
Yes, there were few instances where I had to not give a tip to a person who was serving me food because I didn't have cash. So yes, those were the sad moments. But otherwise, it was okay, at least for people living in big cities. I take your point about inconvenience, and I personally saw big lines outside of ATMs and banks, which was unfortunate. But you know what, in the return of larger good for the country, I think that pain was worth it. Now, to your point about this transformation, I actually believe country of our size and scale and fragmentation, digital is the way to go. The payment, the money cannot be in the physical format because it is just way too expensive and way too inefficient. And if we are talking about bringing accountability in the country, in the system, digital payments is the way to go. And yes, it was growing, 150 million wallets from Paytm and another 100 from other companies. Didn't happen by chance. The country was actually moving towards that journey. But this whole announcement actually just become the sole catalyst, and we
sort of
believe
accelerated the pace of adoption.
Absolutely. And I think in every industry, these kinds of watershed movement actually happens. And we are actually lucky to have one and seeing it in our lifetime. So to me, it was the destiny which we were anyway going forward with, but this will actually
It sort of
accelerate.
hastened the pace.
Absolutely.
We also decided to get voices as far as developers are concerned, startups are concerned, young professionals are concerned on how these tech-savvy people managed to get by in the last week in the absence of cash and how one can go cashless for so many days on a trot. Rahul Dayama caught up with some of them. Let's listen into what they had to say.
I've been using Paytm for a long while, and it kept me in good stead. So, I mean, this guy and I, we work in the same office. So, yeah, we use the same office ATM as well. And since it's an office ATM and very few people can use it, we didn't have to go through the troubles as to what I've been seeing in the news and television about how the common guy out there on the streets is facing. So, yeah, I mean, I support the move. As you said, the implementation could have been a little better.
I've been the worst person with cash, so I've survived for the longest time on cashless and plastic money. So I wasn't really affected, but actually when I thought about it even more, I thought that the people who are not so privileged as we are suffering a lot. So honestly, one of my strongest opinion, I honestly feel that government did great. It was a great decision, could have, like he said, implemented better. But I would like to sort of appeal to people like us who can use their mobile phones in the age of smartphones to exchange messages in media, etc., should actually step on and move on to plastic money and net banking.
We feel surviving cashless is not easy. Also, I believe it's a sort of a security that you feel when you have cash on you. So, you know, what is it that you can tell us in terms of tips and tricks for you to be cashless? You know, what has really worked for you?
So honestly, since the past 1 week, I've been traveling a lot, and I've been traveling with literally $100 in my pocket, because most of the places I eat where I can swipe a card, because we are the privileged ones, as I told you. We are the people who are educated enough to use things like plastic money, etc. So I've been going to the airport, booking a cab which pays online, etc. And I eat at places where I can, and most of the places now, I read this news somewhere where a chai wala is accepting a Paytm now. So it's actually better. So, and if you see, and I basically belong to JNK. So Kashmir was the most violent state in past years. So in 1 week, the violence has gone down so much because people don't have money. What will you bribe somebody to go onto roads and pelt stones on, right? So I feel if there's no cash, if it has affected my state so much, in the couple of years, if we actually, start moving into cashless and plastic money, things will get affected in a better way, and we would move ahead.
How easier is it for us to move towards cashless economy? Will decisions like this only spur that sort of, a large number of us actually going cashless? What would really spur this transition?
No, I think it's just it's a will issue. The will has to be, so there are two ways. Either you have your self-enforced will or somebody else comes and enforces it. In this case, the government had to come and enforce it because all its other attempts of getting people to cough up their black money and their hidden stashes of money were not working. I mean, they were, but obviously a lot could have been done, which was not being done by the people themselves. So, yeah, it had to be enforced. I mean, people might say it's dictatorial in nature, but I mean, all the major advances in the world have had a dictatorial push to them. And it's, as I said, either you can you could self-enforce the will, or the will could be enforced by somebody else.
What are those basic tips that they can use to ensure that they can go cashless? Is having a Paytm wallet the answer? Is increasingly ensuring that you make sure that you start using your debit and credit card, which you didn't really do?
The thing is, if you look at third-party services like wallets and stuff, there are like way too many wallets. But one generic one is Paytm. So in that case, if you have a Paytm wallet, that's good enough. Or go ahead with a card instead of. And as she said, most of the guys are accepting card these days. So it's not really a problem, except for. And if you look at the other guys who are standing in the ATMs and stuff, the problem is these guys are not much adopted to the app and all these stuff. So educating them, and one of the major problem which even my family, as in my dad and all, was telling us, I have to go there, recharge, keep on recharging and then use it. So that is every time it gets over, it's not like my bank. I have to go push it there to use it.
Another aspect aspect of demonetization that's likely to have a big impact is, of course, its impact on inflation. If truckers across the country run out of cash and don't supply vegetables and fruits at various places. We caught up with a very interesting startup in this space, Black Buck, an online marketplace that aggregates trucks with over 60,000 trucks in its platform. We asked its co-founder about the problems that truckers are facing in this situation and also the solution that Black Buck offers to really make this unorganized segment more organized.
The industry is completely cash-led. Most of the transactions which these truckers do beyond their value chain, either to buy fuel, buy tolling, entire conveyance en route, all of those charges are typically paid in cash, right? So definitely, I think as per the estimates in the newspaper and while we interact with the ecosystem, right, the ministry, the AITMC, etc., I think about what their estimates is 2 million trucks are sort of stranded. But I think what's important to understand is I think the situation is definitely easing out, right? A couple of solutions there which are underplay as a business. So Black Book from that standpoint, given we have built a digital business and 100% of our payments to the carriers are digitized. Our entire fuel payments are through plastic cards. So we've got tie-ups with nationalized fuel companies, with IOCL, with BPCL, HPCL. We've tied up with them, we've integrated through their APIs. So our truckers on the platform can fill fuel no matter what, right? And we've also partnered with Government of India through a joint partnership with Jana Lakshmi into the electronic tolling, and we would be ready in about a couple of months, and we will start doing electronic tolling as well. That will help us enable using, including fuel plus tolling, which is 65% of the total road expense, getting digitized. Now, speaking about the balance 20% of that is more en route conveyance expenses.
I believe you have close to 80,000 trucks on your platform, but the app isn't really open to consumers, so to say, who directly work. When is it that you plan to open up your app, and what are the plans forward?
Perfect. So today, though the app is not open, you can actually download the app and request for the app. And you could also actually call the central number of Black Buck and then request for the app. When you do this, you're asked to submit your KYC documents, you're asked to submit your truck registration copy and the PAN card. And it's a very simple registration process. I think within an hour, you're registered and you are live on the platform. So in that way, we have made it open. It's not closed. And moving forward, the app in its own versatile format, being completely live on the Play Store, we're going to be live there in a month's timeline from now.
What is it that really differentiates you? The other names that would come to mind would be Revigo and the others. What really differentiates you from the rest?
Yeah, I think the name which you have taken, they're doing a brilliant job in this particular industry, in a particular different path. So the path they have adopted is more by owning assets. That is, they buy trucks and execute shipments to their customers with high quality. What BlackBuck is adopting is basically a marketplace approach, where truckers who already have inventory, who already have bought trucks over the past years, come on the platform, use the technology of BlackBuck to execute demand. And that essentially is the key difference between these two type of companies, and which helps us scale much faster, and also the value addition on the shipper side and the carrier side, there has been tremendous.
Last two questions. How is it that you monetize your startup? What's on the front of monetization, and where does this go ahead? Also, because you have this exclusive partnership, it sort of helps you build that sort of relationship with the truckers as well as the partnership that you have.
Yeah. So today on the margin which BlackBuck earns essentially is the difference between what the customer pays and what we pay to the shippers, and that spread is what essentially is going to be the monetization strategy for BlackBuck. Yeah, so anywhere between 12 to 15 percentage point spread is what BlackBuck will target in the long term.
Lastly, as far as expansion plans are concerned, would you be adding a lot many of these cities to your platform? As far as expansion is concerned, what plans do you have?
BlackBuck's vision perspective, we really believe the solution which BlackBuck has built not only has applicability in India, but across markets. And that's going to be our long-term plan, probably 2020 plan to be probably the largest company globally. In the short term, what's important while we're building, getting onto this particular plan, is to keep our, sort of foot grounded and win the Indian market, right? When we say we're going to win the Indian market, that's, at least we got to get to about 5% to 10% of the market size in the country. So, that's essentially are the medium-term plans for BlackBuck.
That brings us then to the end of this special episode that we got to you from the Global Mobile Internet Conference in Bangalore. Not so much mobile internet, but demonetization clearly dominating the conversation. And why not, when it's affected pretty much everyone here? Even the Chinese delegation telling us that they had a hard time exchanging forex once they landed in India. We hope to get you many more voices from GMIC in the coming days. But thanks so much for watching this show, and keep it with ET Now.
Find us on Facebook at facebook.com/etnow, and don't forget to click the like button. You can also follow us on Twitter at etnowlive. To stay updated with all our programming, hit the subscribe button on our YouTube channel by logging on to youtube.com/user/etnow.